What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. In this video, we are jumping into Betsy Braddock, Captain Britain, issue number 1. And it's been a little while since we have seen Betsy. The last time we saw her was with inside the pages of Knights of X. After toiling for months to defend Otherworld from the anti-mutant crusade of Merlin, Betsy left the provinces to govern themselves. Divorcing the role of Captain Britain from its traditional place, she remains the defender of Otherworld from all outside threats. With no Starlight Citadel to watch over all the universes that connect to Otherworld, that means defending the multiverse as well. Building up a couple of allies, and the Captain Britain Corps remaining very strong. There are still many issues inside the UK that aren't happy that Betsy is still Captain Britain. Now, make sure you guys have subscribed to the channel, make sure that you like this video, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so as we pick up with this issue, we are picking up with Betsy having a conversation on the news. Because here in Britain, people are questioning the idea that Betsy is still calling herself Captain Britain. The truth is, she is not in the favor of Britain at all. Because the UK, they do not recognize Krakoa as a nation. In fact, they have been actively working to bring down mutant kind. Here debating this topic is also Micromax. He is here to be the voice against Captain Britain. Having another mutant here, another one that is native to UK, asking why are you not wearing a Union Jack or anything of that nature? Why should you be called Captain Britain at all? Really, this is just an opportunity to smear Betsy. The truth is, Britain doesn't like Betsy. They do not like mutants. So the fact that she is Captain Britain is something that they're not necessarily happy about. Especially when she's not here in Britain helping the British people. In the midst of this conversation, this is where she gets a message. Somebody out in the multiverse, they need help. A Captain Britain out there, they need assistance. That is what brings us to Earth 99476. It brings us to our prehistoric Captain Britain, known as Britannica Rex. We are seeing the meteors fall from the sky. The land that this T-Rex had once seen is now burning. She had left to join the Captain Britain Corps to fight in Otherworlds, coming back to her homeworld only to find that it is in flames. That is where we have the arrival of Betsy and Rachel Summers. They have come in to rescue this dinosaur world. For centuries, they had been told on this planet that this may happen, that eventually there would be a catastrophic event where fire would fall from the sky and make the world unlivable for their kind. But when they go to the impact crater, what they find is a fury. Very puny in comparison to the ones that they had fought in Otherworld, the ones that took on the form of sentinels. But as it begins to get up, it immediately attacks the Captain Britons. Them trying to figure out exactly what this thing wants and what it is up to. The Fury's job is to kill the superpowered and to raise hell for Captain Britain. This is where Rachel Summers comes in. She's been trying a new thing where she can call upon a small piece of Phoenix fire from the multiverse. She uses this and she blasts the Fury into a tar pit. As it sinks to the bottom, they believe that they had won. As they go and fly off, we see the arm coming up out of the tar pit. But that is what picks us up with Brian, Betsy, and Rachel. They have done a little bit of investigation into this Fury situation. We saw under the control of Merlin, the Furies had changed their mold, made themselves enormous like sentinels. But that also had made them weaker. In this smaller form, they are much more formidable. In fact, this reminds Brian of how he used to fight against ones that looked exactly like this. These things are resistant to almost everything. But these are superhero killers. What they know is that this is not something from Mad Jim. Rachel had done some chrono skimming to try and figure out exactly where it came from. They know that it's not from Earth 238, which is the original Fury world, and it's also not from any other timeline, which means he is from Otherworld. That is where all timelines connect. As they have this conversation, on the outside, we have Jamie Braddock, currently on the Braddock Isle, off of the coast of England. We see him throwing a house up in his hand, just whistling. As soldiers come up to him, he throws the small house that is in his hand, and it quadruples in size, becoming the size of a normal house. Jamie has put this family back where they belong. Everybody had been inside the house this entire time. But that is what takes us over to Coven Aqaba. We have Micromax, who is sitting down with somebody. What we learn is that news interview, that was all planned. It was all staged. It was all made to bring down mutant kind in an effort to undermine Captain Britain and everything that she has done. While they have this conversation, Micromax recognizes that this conversation isn't very friendly, that he may have done what they asked, but they are still very much against mutants. Him being one of them, he shrinks down and he tries to run away, but the hand scoops him up and throws him into a pocket. That hand belonging to none other than Lady Morgan Le Fay. Now, she has been through a lot, being captured by Apocalypse, gotten the taste for the magic of mutant blood. What she wants is her Britain restored. The first thing that means is that she needs a Captain Britain. Merlin is dead, King Arthur is licking his wounds. But what they need is somebody willing to wear the Union Jack and smile for the cameras. Someone who can make people happy. They need somebody that they can control. That is what takes us to Everforge, the Kingdom of the Furies. Captain Britain has come to discuss that fury, to discuss what happened on that Earth with the dinosaurs. But this is the first time that they have talked since the war with Merlin. With the Furies siding with Merlin, Captain Britain does ask, do you have anything to say for those actions? The Furies saying no because Merlin lost. Captain Britain trying to breeze over that little insult, going on to say that one of your Furies is out there in the multiverse causing all kinds of havoc. We know that it came from the Everforge. And with the leader of the Furies making a little comment, a little snide remark, Captain Britain lets it be known that she understands that you are not in my charge, that I don't need to protect you in any way, shape, or form. You guys have made that clear. But you can also easily become my enemy if that is the path we want to take. This is when Rachel Summers, she feels something from their universe. Not sure what this is. She goes to investigate. Pretty much what the Furies leader is telling Captain Britain is that he does not care how many of them are out there causing problems for them. That they encourage fighting, they encourage war. So he is all about it. As far as he is concerned, this is not his problem. That if Captain Britain wants to go out into the multiverse and chase around every single one of their rogue Furies, then they can go do that. This is where Rachel finally discovers what these guys have been hiding. Going to investigate, what they find is a giant banner, the Britain flag flying inside of the Everforge. As they try to detain Rachel Summers, Captain Britain and them, they make a diversion and they get out of here. With the Furies not wanting to start a war with Krakoa over these offenses, they have their own orders to follow, and so they allow them to leave. That is what takes us back to the Isle. We are picking up with Pete Wisdom, leader of Strike. He's coming in, they're having some tea with Captain Britain and Rachel showing up. They begin to have their conversation, and what Captain Britain is asking, she needs Strike to be able to do some investigation onto what is going on. Now, Pete Wisdom, he's not necessarily on the side of Britain per se. After they had stabbed him in the back, literally, he's willing to at least help out Captain Britain a little bit, going on to let him know about the Furies of Everforge, letting him know that they have apparently decided to side with the UK here on Earth 616. And so what Betsy is asking is for Strike to find out who did this, who is dealing directly with the Furies. She suspects it is the Coven, asking him to start there. With everybody dismissing themselves from the table, Rachel and Betsy, they head off to bed, really just talking about everything that they have been going through, everything that they have been dealing, and Rachel is saying, set it all to the side. These are all problems that we can deal with tomorrow. Just for tonight, let's relax, let's hang out, let's be in love, and go to sleep. The next day, we have Pete Wisdom meeting up with the rest of his Strike team. But what we also learn is that they have been keeping Excalibur safe. He is worried that the people, the government of Britain, they might be coming for the symbol of Britain. If they get their hands on Excalibur, that could be bad for everybody. So they need to make sure that they keep it safe. Meanwhile, at the Coven HQ, we have Le Fay who is peeping in on some things going on. More specifically, a Fury attack happening in one of the Captain Britain worlds. With Captain Britain waking up, she heads out. Not wasting any time, they go to Earth 5411. This being an almost Wonder Woman type Captain Britain. They find themselves facing off against another Fury. But this one hasn't necessarily come to fight the Captain Britain of this world. This Fury has come to make an offer. It is asking for this Captain Britain service. In exchange, they will spare this reality, and that she will no longer have to be in the service of this false Captain Britain, Betsy Braddock. With all of the captains laughing their butt off. This is where they have incoming of multiple Furies. As Rachel goes to use the Phoenix Fire again, we see that this takes such a heavy toll on her. She is unable to do it, as she goes falling out of the sky because of it. She was able to at least get a little flare up. This flare, it called in the rest of the Captain Britain Corps. That is where we see a green portal open up. And we have Le Fay coming out, laughing at the fact that she brought all of her allies to reject this invitation. But Le Fay says that this does save her some time, because now that she is here, the entire Captain Britain Corps can watch Betsy die, and then she can take on a new captain, one that the people will love, a true captain for Britain. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up on Earth 5411. We have the Britain Corps that is facing off against Furies. And these Furies are on a mission for Le Fay, trying to recruit any Captain Britain that may be willing to take up the mantle against the Corps. But in the process of doing this, the Captain Britain Corps had shown up. And while individually the Captain Britain Corps finds themselves at a disadvantage against the Furies, they have them in numbers. And so with the Captain Britons combining their abilities together, more or less creating a circuit, they are able to take down many of these Furies. With victory assured, we see Morgan Le Fay and her Furies, they take off. Right now, they are in full retreat. And we have Rachel, who is chrono skimming, trying to find any reality that they may be going to. Betsy knows that she wants a Captain Britain, but with the entire Corps here by her side, she is wondering where they may go looking for one. This is when they come to the understanding that they are going looking for a Betsy that hasn't heard of her or the Captain Britain Corps, one that is yet to reach their full potential. If Morgan cannot find a member of the existing Captain Britain Corps that will turn on them and serve her, she is going to go out and try and make one. And so Rachel does some scanning and she finds Lizzie Braddock of Earth 76. Now this sounds very familiar because we actually had a series not too long ago covering Captain Carter that was taking place on Earth 76. And this is what jumps us over to that Earth. With Lizzie in her apartment, she goes looking for some kind of food in the fridge. only to hear a creaking sound, recognizing that someone is trying to sneak up on her in her home again. She prepares to attack only to see Morgan Le Fay, and Morgan stops this attack by letting her know that she is not here to harm her. When asking who she is, Morgan says that you already know. She is the greatest witch in all of Britain's history, and she is here today to offer up a chance to take her hand in power. But while this conversation is ongoing, what we see right outside the window is Rachel and Betsy. They got here just in time, but this is where Morgan begins to shoot magic at them, with Morgan breaking into three: the maiden warrior, the beautiful sorceress, and the wise witch of all. She can embody the goddess of triplicate. And so with Morgan evening out the odds, we see the battle ensue. Rachel and the wise witch go against one another in a telepathic manner. Betsy and the beautiful sorceress, they duel off against each other. And then when it comes to the maiden warrior, we have Lizzie, aka Betsy Braddock of this earth, who is throwing iron at these fairy-blooded individuals. With Morgan going after Lizzie, we see Morgan reach into her chest and she appears to stop her heart. While this battle is ongoing, this is when a shield comes into play, ricocheting off the three, off of all the Morgans. This is where we have the arrival of Captain Carter. But as quickly as Captain Carter gets in here, Morgan Le Fay disappears. Taking this opportunity to run away, Captain Carter knows that Lizzie needs medical attention and she needs it now. But she's also going to need some answers to understand what is going on and why there is somebody that looks exactly like Lizzie standing in this room. That's what takes us to Coven Aqaba, with Morgan Le Fay returning back home. Her humble priestess are letting her know that the Furies have a message for her, but the only thing she is focused on is Captain Britain. She is furious because there is not a single individual in the multiverse that is willing to join her cause. Completely ignoring the message from the Furies. The Furies are a warlike clan. They were promised war, and they have yet to get that war. It is only going to be a matter of time before they turn on Morgan Le Fay. But while she was on Earth 76, she did recognize that there is some potential there. And so while she works on this, we are picking back up with Captain Carter and Betsy. With Lizzie currently in bed, she is recovering. It's going to take a little bit of time, but she is going to come back. This is when Betsy goes into detail with Captain Carter about who she is, where she is from, and what she represents. She tells Captain Carter about Otherworld, about the Captain Britain Corps, and about her place in defending all of this. And after Betsy has given all the details that she is willing to give up, she tells Captain Carter maybe it's time to get some rest. As soon as Captain Carter rests her head, she is waking up only to see that Lizzie is gone. Going and running out of here, she goes looking for her, only to find that Betsy and Lizzie, they have both been taken out. They let Captain Carter know that there is no time to explain, that she must answer the call. She must attain the power from the Starlight Sword. To earn the mantle, she must take the pretender down who wields it. That she must do this for Britain. We see that Le Fay is the one behind all of this, manipulating the situation. As soon as Captain Britain had gone into sleep, that's when Morgan came in to manipulate her dreams, to trick her into doing this. With Le Fay in absolute control of Captain Carter, we see her attack Rachel and Betsy. It doesn't take long for this fight to get underway, and they really are doing their best trying not to hurt Captain Carter. They know that she is possessed. They know that they need to try and help her in some way. And so Betsy does something that she hasn't done in a very long time. She uses the psychic knife, giving Captain Carter an uppercut. We see that knife penetrate, and Morgan Le Fay is cast out of her. Picking up a little bit later, Captain Carter is a little upset. She believed everything that she had seen was real. A little embarrassed that she was able to be tricked in such a manner. But Betsy lets her know that this isn't something to beat yourself up about. Le Fay isn't a mutant like Rachel and her. She uses magic with genuine spells. All Betsy did is use the psychic knife to give her mind the strength to resist, asking if Le Fay might return to finish off whatever it is she started. Captain Britain is pretty sure that she won't be returning, because Le Fay is one to really change her plans as much as the moon comes up. This is what takes us over to Morgan, and exactly like Captain Britain had said, the plans have changed. She promised the Furies war, and now war they shall have. Raising her cup up to the sky, giving out a toast, introducing her brand new Furious Captain Britain Corps. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up at the Braddock Manor. Megan and Brian, they are currently headed out for a night on the town, a little time away. That means Maggie and Betsy, they are having the day to themselves. Grabbing Maggie, she heads out of here, and that's where she runs into Rachel chrono skimming. They have had Mother Mind running for hours, and they have gotten no results on where Le Fay might be, or what she might be doing. They are simply waiting for the next strike. With Brian Braddock outfitting the Captain Marvel Corps with Mother Mind tech to boost their psychic comms, they're hoping that maybe somebody out there has heard something, getting in communication with Captain Britons from across the multiverse. There has yet to be a single sign of Le Fay, with Rachel and her kissing, trying to really just bring each other down, bring the stress level to a close. This is where they get an incoming alert. Brian and Megan, they are currently facing off against something. That something is a Fury dressed as Captain Britain, letting all the citizens of UK know that he is the new Captain Britain, that no harm will come to him, but he cannot serve them best while Brian Braddock lives. Now the Furies, they were a kind of creation of Mad Jim Jaspers, and they only have two traits. They kill superheroes, and they never stop. In Otherworld, where realities intersect, they learned that they were not one, but many. They established a nation. We know this as the Everforge. And they only have 3 laws: hunt the superpowered, defend the Forge, and never stop. This is where the Fury goes in on both Brian and Megan. With Brian wielding his sword, he goes in with a devastating attack, the two of them battling it out. Megan grabbing every bit of scrap around her. She goes to throw it at this little Fury, but this Fury comes down on Brian, and it looks like his life has come to an end. With the Fury believing that his mission is accomplished, the Fury flies away believing that its job here is done. But this was all an illusion. Captain Britain had gotten here just in the nick of time. This was all a trick to get the Fury to go away. They don't know how much time they're gonna have before this Fury recognizes that Brian is still alive, but it gives our heroes the opportunity to regroup and get out of here. But Betsy is really worried at this point. Le Fay is outsmarting her every freaking turn, and so she has to turn to somebody that might be able to help her. Somebody with an intellect that could be able to challenge this. That's what takes us to London, England. We are at the HQ of Strike. All the members of Strike here, but we see Betsy and Rachel sitting down. At this point, Betsy doesn't know what to do. She is snapping, she is irritated, she is angry, and she is disappointed. And right now, her mind is on Saturn 9. She worries that she made a mistake by cutting herself off from her, exhausting themselves trying to track down Le Fay. She wishes there was somebody she might be able to talk to, somebody smart enough to be able to figure this situation out. This is when it clicks in her head. As we pick up at Covenakaba HQ, we have the ambassador that is in the hands of the Fury. He is telling Le Fay that this guy is useless. Useless to you, useless to me. It would be better if we were to end him right here. He would make the perfect sacrifice. Unfortunately, he is not a mutant, so his sacrifice would mean nothing. It wouldn't help them in any way, shape, or form. But Le Fay goes on to say, of things that are useless, you told me that Brian Braddock is dead, yet he is at home. He is alive and comfortable, dancing around with Maggie. Recognizing his failure, the Fury runs to go and take down the superpowered, to defend the Forge and never give up. But Morgan stops them, both of them getting too ahead of themselves. She lets them know that they still carry the Starlight Sword. And now that the power of the Captain Britain Corps lies in the hands of one mutant, they have to think outside of the box. This is where she shows them something, shows them what they might be able to use to take them down. But the Britain she is seeking is not one that the ambassador wants. She is not here to just rid mutants of this place. She doesn't care about the mortal government. She only cares about defending the magic of the land of Britain, of the power within. In her mind, everyone would kneel to her. If they did not, they would die. At least this is what she would have done at one time. But she recognizes that those days are long past. She must threaten modern people with modern fears. And her strongest ally, she is about to go say hello to. And so at the same time, we see Betsy getting ready to go say hello to somebody, getting very dolled up. She definitely wants to make a good impression. Elsewhere, we have the Fury and Morgan Le Fay showing up at a very particular location. While Betsy makes her way to Jersey City, she has come to say hello to Tony Stark, needing somebody that has the mind to understand the situation but is also an expert on Le Fay. That is none other than Tony Stark. She also says that she might need the help of the Avengers. While Morgan Le Fay, she has gone to Victor Von Doom, because Doom has something that she would like. Sometime after Morgan Le Fay's capture, the Castle Mongol was removed as a whole. It was next seen for sale in Otherworld in the Crooked Market in the hands of Mad Jim Jaspers. The entire manor had been compressed into a little red box. According to Captain Britain, the manor exchanged hands and was last seen in the possession of Dr. Doom. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up with Tony Stark and Betsy. They are talking about Otherworld, they're talking about Morgan and everything that is currently ongoing. But more importantly, she is worried about this Fury, the one that is trying to be Captain Britain. After giving all the details, Tony says that the Avengers are in, with the Fury currently thinking that Brian is dead. She's not sure how much time this is going to buy them, but the Avengers' presence will draw the Fury where it stands. She knows that she needs power to attract the Fury. Her brother Jamie just isn't reliable, and with the anti-mutant sentiment in the UK, she doesn't want to use the X-Men, and so she heads off. That's where we pick up with Rachel, and Rachel is slowly beginning to truly understand her powers, having her third eye open up. She is learning that the sacred timeline is not a singular line, not a tree to be pruned through time travel. It is a library of lives, every existence in every form bringing knowledge to this library. And there is only one Rachel to protect it. As we pick up in the Braddock Manor, we see that Rachel is waking up for her little trance or meditation, if you will. And the Braddock family is getting ready to go have a night out, because they are heading out to their first public red carpet appearance in years. But only quickly making an appearance, they head out. With Brian Braddock in the middle of a field, we see that the Fury has targeted onto him as he goes in to tear Brian apart. That is where the Avengers come in, each of them grabbing a part of him and pulling him apart. It's actually pretty crazy how strong this Fury is. You have Captain Marvel, Captain Britain, you have Captain America, Thor, Black Panther, Vision, and the Scarlet Witch, and they are still having trouble breaking through the Otherworld magic. But they are able to do so. They are able to put this Fury down. But what they're gonna do with this Fury, that's where Jamie comes into play, coming through a doorway of his own creation. He's got a pocket dimension that is up and running. That is where they're going to put this Fury. Using his Omega level reality warping, he is going to hold on to the Fury while they figure out what to do with him. The Avengers, seeing that they don't need any more help, they go ahead and they take off. But they see that Jamie decided to come back through the doorway, not sure why he's here or for what purpose. This is when he throws a palace. This is Morgan's palace. And coming out that doorway, we have Dr. Doom and Morgan. Obviously, Betsy is infuriated, asking why Jamie would do this to her, to England, and to mutant kind. But Jamie says that he owed them. He felt bad about them getting experimented on back when he was king. This is where Dr. Doom speaks up. He says that he has no interest in personal conflicts, that if they move on Morgan, his nation will descend down on the Captain Britons. This is not a promise from Doom. This is a promise from a nation, that this is about the land, for the sake of sorcery on their world, that Morgan must stand in Britain, and Doom will protect her. They let her know that no longer Britain is hers to rule. She grabs her brother Jamie and they take off. Back at the Braddock house, right now everybody is grilling Jamie. Even Braddock is saying that if you were still king, he would do his sacred duty as Captain Avalon and behead him himself. While everybody tries to figure out what they're gonna do next, they are really running out of options. Now that Morgan has her palace smack dab in Britain, there's nothing they can really do about this, especially with Doom being by her side. Then they come up with the idea that maybe if she is going to be here, maybe we should just try and protect people from her. With Pete and the rest of Strike arriving, they know that they can't use the Avengers to rain hell from above, that that'll trigger Doom's war. They must get into her manor and work from the inside out. If she wants Britain, she has to cooperate with the land. And if she needs the magic from the land, that means she's gonna need Captain Britain. And so as she prepares for all of this to go down, we pick up later in the pocket prison dimension. We pick up with the Fury, and standing before it is Brian Braddock, aka Captain Avalon. He lets it be known that the old Mother Mind computer tried to tell him that the Fury of 238 had lost his identity in the New Kingdom, that this Fury couldn't help itself but to come and find him and show itself. And while his sister is terrible at asking for help, he is happy to give his title to his sister, but the old grudges, they belong to him. Alright gang, so our story is starting us off at the Braddock Manor. Betsy Braddock has assembled the Strike Team, and this is where we see Faiza, the wielder of Excalibur, currently holding on to it, protecting it, with Captain Britain bringing her here today so that they can discuss using the sword. She wields Excalibur, the most sacred artifact of all Britain, and it responds to her and her alone, that she is the link between this land. With having her on board, they go on to discuss how they are going to get into the castle. They've already got enough drone footage, they know exactly how to infiltrate. There is a greenhouse on the outside of the castle, but this is not connected to the rest of the castle. This was built after the castle was put into place. This is where she keeps all the plants that are the most poisonous, the plants that have the blight swill, and it remains relatively unguarded, which means this is their entrance. This is the way that they will be able to sneak into the castle. This is what takes us over to Brian Braddock, aka Captain Avalon, currently in the pocket dimension created by Jamie Braddock. This is where the Fury is, the one that they captured. And Brian Braddock has been given this Fury one hell of a beatdown as he gets ready to end this Fury's life. That is where Rachel Summers comes into play. She stays his hand, saying that they need this Fury alive. While Rachel doesn't know what's gonna happen or when it's gonna happen, she does know where she needs to be to protect the sacred timeline. To do this, she needs the Fury, with Brian reluctantly agreeing to go along with this plan. Her and Megan are insisting that they are going to travel with Rachel. As they return back to the manor, everybody is preparing for the battle. And that's what throws us right into it. Rescuing Micro Max from inside the castle. We see all of this play out, focusing on the guards and all the sentries. They use their powers and abilities, their telepathy, to make sure that Morgan has no idea what is going on. As they make their way through the castle, we see that Pete is really taking out some anger and aggression. He's picking some fights, but they are able to subdue any sentry that they come upon. While above the castle, we have Betsy and we have Rachel. They are waiting for their opportunity to attack. As Rachel takes off, she goes to do whatever it is she plans to do, and Betsy makes her way into the castle. They know that if this goes sideways, there will be bombs dropping all over Earth. And so she has the Captain Britain Corps on standby, ready to play interference if it is necessary. As she breaks in, she takes on 2 sentries. These 2 sentries have ropes that have blight swill on it, magic protecting them from the charms of the witch breed. They throw these onto Betsy, and that is when Morgan shows her face, with Morgan going on to let Betsy know that you should probably be ashamed. For all your talk of mutants caring about humans, you infiltrating this castle, this has just started a war. And now Dr. Doom's forces, they are going to mobilize. Thousands of Doombots will be headed directly for this location, telling Betsy to say her last words. Morgan Le Fay had promised the Furies a war that she didn't deliver on. This is what takes us over to Rachel Summers, making her way to the land of the Everforge. They have come to deliver the Fury, but also make a proposal. Morgan Le Fay didn't give them the war that they were promised, but the Furies, they're not one to be picky. As long as there is something big and superpowered for them to hunt, they will wage war. And so Rachel Summers makes a proposal. As the Doombots mobilize, as they head for Britain, they are quickly intercepted by the Furies. They are getting the war that they wanted. As this is ongoing, at the same time we pick up with Betsy. While the blight spill may suppress her psychic powers, it does not suppress the gifts of Captain Britain. That is where we see the Starlight Sword activated, knocking the guards down and going right for Morgan Le Fay. And Captain Britain drives that sword right into Morgan. This is where we see Excalibur driven into the ground. With a blinding light, we see Morgan Le Fay has been transformed. Excalibur has forgiven her and changed her. It has linked her to the land yet again. That's what picks us up a little bit later, with Betsy on the phone with Tony, letting Tony know everything that was ongoing. Everything about the Doombots, about the Furies, about Morgan Le Fay. And while right now she's healing, Excalibur was used to link her to the land again. That they can only hope this is going to be good for both the land and Morgan Le Fay. With Brian Braddock going on to say that he is going to restart the Braddock Academy. As everybody is enjoying the fair, this is where Captain Britain gets a call. She's got to head off and do some multiversal stuff. Her and Rachel taking off into the sunset. That is where this issue will end. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I'm not gonna lie, this was a huge letdown. All of this build-up, the Furies, Morgan Le Fay, Dr. Doom, you have all of this stuff, and none of it really mattered. Maybe because it was only 5 issues, and that's the thing about miniseries. They're really a hit or miss on the last issue. And this one it just wasn't it. After everything that happened, all you had to do this entire time was connect her back to the land. And all of a sudden, Morgan Le Fay is back to being a good person. Honestly, I wanted a good Captain Britain comic, and this one just wasn't it. The Knights of X was far superior to this. The story was just lacking so much depth. They rushed through this last issue. They really brought it to an ending so quickly, with almost no conflict, with almost nobody dying. Yeah, some sentries got their heads wrong, that's really about it. It was just so anticlimactic. It was so boring. And as soon as Morgan Le Fay is changed over, we're jumping to a fair. We're jumping to her talking to Tony Stark and then flying off to go take care of some other Captain Britain stuff. I was really expecting more. I was really expecting something big, something better than this. Hopefully, whatever they do with Captain Britain next is gonna be better than this 5-issue miniseries. Because now this has me really hesitant on what comes next, on if I even wanna buy what comes next. But I'm hoping that Captain Britain is gonna be brought into the bigger Fall of X, everything going on with that. I'm hoping that she is going to play a much bigger part, because so far they have really kept her separate from everything else going on. I'm hoping with Genesis's arrival, with Apocalypse and the Horsemen, all of this stuff going on, that we are going to see more of the Captain Britain Corps, and they are going to play a heavy part in defending mutant kind. Truth be told though, I don't really have anything good to say about this, so I'm really going to close it out. Let me know what you guys think, let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you would like to get completely caught up on everything going on with this series, go ahead, check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It will get you completely caught up on everything going on with Betsy Braddock. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership. Much like Patreon, having multiple different tiers, from $1 to $50. From loyalty badges to comics every single month. Not only are you helping out the channel tremendously, but you are getting tons of perks in the process. If you are unable to do that, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.